So, in today's day and age, most of us live in, I would say, a dopamine saturated environment where basically every scroll, every ping, every like, that's pretty much dopamine that, is being sent off through your brain. And your brain loves it. But the problem is, your brain wasn't designed to get this much of it this often and for doing so little. And honestly, I'd probably say by 10 a.m., your brain has probably already been hit with more dopamine than your grandparents got like in a full week. And you wonder why nothing feels exciting, why everything kind of feels like a chore. You're overstimulated, your baseline is fried. And it's because we've been tricked into thinking that this is completely normal. But normal doesn't always mean optimal. And I'm kind of starting to learn that now and process that. And so let's go into dopamine, how dopamine actually works. So dopamine is often misunderstood. So like people think it's about pleasure, but it's not. It's actually about anticipation, because your brain uses dopamine to motivate you to do the things it believes will lead to rewards, which will then reinforce and make you want to do those things all over again. And that's great. And that's great when it's pushing you to chase goals and build skills and go to the gym and whatnot. But when you flood it with cheap dopamine, like social media, porn, junk food, you tend to hijack that same system that was supposed to be for this good thing that's now kind of being used in the opposite way. And then suddenly your brain starts craving the wrong things. You'll also feel resistance when doing something useful, but you'll feel instant reward from something useless. And so you're training your brain every time that you make that trade. And here's the wild part. This addiction is completely invisible, but we don't call it that because everyone's doing it. No one's going to call you out for, binge watching Netflix for 6 hours or opening Instagram 130 times a day. But imagine if someone drank that many shots, when they go to the bars, or smoke that many times in a day. We'd say that they have a problem. But when it comes to dopamine abuse, we kind of reward it and encourage it, especially in this day and age. The apps are designed that way so that you're basically indefinitely, like infinite scroll, autoplay, swipe reward systems, you name it. It's not accidental. And it's because you are the product. You are the product. And the longer that you stay addicted, the more profit someone else is basically making off of your demise in some sense or another. And most people hit a breaking point, and maybe it's burnout. Maybe you realize you haven't achieved, anything meaningful in months, or you're not getting the same amount of enjoyment that you used to get from, simple things. For me, it was when I had a business idea and something that I really believed in, and I couldn't, for the life of me, get myself to just to sit down and execute. I had the energy, I had the plan, but my attention span was just completely shot. And that's when I realized that it wasn't that I didn't care, or that I just was too lazy and didn't want to do it. It was that I had been training my brain to avoid the hard things. And that was the moment I knew I had to try what I'm sure most of you've heard and what you've seen kind of from the title of this video, dopamine detox. So initially I started with a 24-hour detox, pretty much cold turkey. So no apps, no YouTube, no junk food, no background noise at all. And I slowly worked my way up to days, and then weeks, and then a month. And initially, day one, from what I remember, day one sucked. It was almost like I was anxious. I felt like something was missing, and I just found myself kind of just, anxious is the best word that I can, describe it. But I just felt anxious in that, and almost it was just this uncomfortable feeling. And that's how I knew I was hooked. That's how I knew, like, okay, this isn't just something that, I've been doing I'm not just on social media in my free time. No, you're actually hooked on it. Day 10, it was still rough, but I will say I felt a little bit lighter. By day 23, I started waking up early. I started writing again. And then after successfully doing a full month from day 1 to day 30, I felt like my brain actually had space again. And it was like I could finally hear my own thoughts in some sense. And since then, I've done it kind of more so in cycles now. And every single time I feel like I come out sharper. I come out, sharper, clearer, and just more productive. And so you might be thinking, well, practically like, Sky, how do I start? And here's how I would start out if I were you. Firstly, choose how long that you want to go for. Starting out, if you've never done a dopamine detox at all, I'd recommend starting with just 24 hours, because you really don't realize how hard it is until you actually do it and you're like, oh crap. And then slowly level up to 3 days, then 7 days, or even a full month challenge, if possible. And while you're going through this deep dopamine detox day after day, I'd also recommend tracking everything using a notebook, or writing things down like in a digital journal of some sort. I recommend maybe Notion or something like that. And then secondly, limit and cut out things like social media, obviously, video games. I know that's a tough one, since there's a lot of people that may do that in the free hobby. Try to limit how much junk food you are consuming, since a lot of people, they're eating, freaking Cheetos, Doritos, that sort of thing. It's just going to slow your brain down. Porn is a big one. Definitely stay away from it. I'd recommend, just, if you can, like, go talk to girls. Don't try to go online and just, you're keeping yourself stuck in an infinite loop, and it's just not a good cycle. And then lastly, replace all of these, vices with healthier things, such as, getting outside, journaling, like I mentioned earlier, whether you're physically journaling or, typing it through like a digital format. Get outside and read books. That's another thing. Doing deep work where, you block out, a set amount of time to where it's like you don't have any sort of like video playing in the background, or you don't have anything like any music going, unless music, I guess in some cases music can help, but try to do deep work where it's just you and the work and nothing else. Next, I would say also training in the gym. This is a really good one. For me, the training in the gym actually helped me a lot, just because it kind of, the physical pain of the workout kind of quieted the craziness of the mind somewhat. And then lastly, just like hang out with your friends, go meet people, go see people face to face. Like I said, don't get caught up in so much of the work that you don't go outside or talk to people or meet people. And then lastly, meditation, which can kind of go with sitting outside, like I had mentioned earlier. Basically what I'm trying to say is get out in nature. But no, meditation is also a good one that you could definitely doing something that I would also recommend. And so once you've completed the dopamine detox in full, what I would recommend, once you're actually, everything is all said and done and you've done everything and you went the amount of days that you said you were going to go for, time block dopamine so that you don't fall back into bad habits or overstimulating yourself and frying your brain. It's kind of like eating clean for a full week just to binge, like a fully loaded, pizza from, I don't know, Domino's. It's basically just going to undo a lot of your progress, essentially. And so if it helps, you can also use features in the iPhone to manage how much time that you can spend in certain apps as you kind of reincorporate them back into your life. And so you can time lock certain apps. So maybe, giving yourself 2 hours of YouTube or 30 minutes of TikTok so that you're not just mindlessly scrolling. And then lastly, some of the common mistakes that I kind of see people make that I'd recommend trying to avoid is detoxing without a plan. Like, don't just cut things. Try and fill the time with meaningful stuff, things that you enjoy, that you kind of get healthy dopamine from. Another one is going too hard too fast. So if you've never detoxed, like I said earlier, don't start with like 30 days. Start small. Do not start big. You'll set yourself up for failure, you'll feel bad, and then you just won't want to do it anymore. And lastly is substituting one stimulus for another. So people often, delete TikTok and then just binge YouTube. That's not a detox, that's just a swap. And so try to keep all of that in order and in check. And then also track your progress, because if you're not reflecting, you're not learning. And so that's why I say always write everything down, whether physically or digitally. And so what can you expect after the detox, right? So what are some of the benefits? And just from my own experience, here's what I felt and what I feel like most people can expect, which is why I encourage you to start, which is what this video is all about. But your baseline dopamine sensitivity basically returns to normal, and it's the best thing because you have like this clarity. Simple things are enjoyable again, and it's just great. Small wins also start to feel exciting again. So it's like you get happy about like even making small progress because you're still getting that healthy dopamine from it, instead of quitting when you don't get the results you want. And then your energy begins to stabilize alongside your mood, which also kind of plays into that, which helps you kind of stay focused and kind of on the straight and narrow and, keeping at whatever your goal is. Also, you stop seeking distractions because your body isn't craving that bad dopamine anymore. And so you're not going out of your way to try and, get it from all of these negative sources. And ultimately, all of this, it just gives you real momentum and speed in the game. See, the detox isn't the end goal. It's just the reset. The goal is to build a system that keeps your brain sharp long term. And so here's what I do. No phone 1 hour after waking up outside of, stopping my alarm, because unfortunately, I'm not one of those people that can just my body will slowly get into the process of waking up at a certain time, but it's still here nor there. No social media. Next is no social media until after all my deep work is done. So, no, like I said, no YouTube, no TikTok, even uploading these videos or researching videos or things that I want to do. I don't do any of that until all of my deep work is done. Next, no devices during meals, workouts, excluding music, because I do use music for my workouts, or before sleep, which is another big one because a lot of times your phone has blue light, which kind of gives you a negative effect when you're trying to go to sleep, because then your brain is just kind of wired up. And then also 1 to 2 intentional dopamine blocks per day. So this can be blocking off YouTube until a certain time that you can access it. That has also been really helpful, on top of monthly 48-hour detoxes and quarterly 7-day resets. which is usually what I do now. I haven't really done a whole month of a detox because I haven't really felt like I've needed one. It's mainly been for kind of those short doses, and so this kind of gives you the best of both worlds. You can enjoy your life without feeling controlled by it in one way or another. And honestly, if you're still watching, that says a lot. Shows that you're not here for quick fixes, and you want real change. And so if you feel like your brain has been, fried, I do encourage you to, start your 24-hour, dopamine detox this week. Remember, the people who win aren't smarter than you. They're just less distracted in a overstimulated world, basically. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, like I said, detox your dopamine, rebuild your drive, and take your power back.